If you've never been gaslit by a toaster, I envy you. Welcome to my life. I'm sitting at the kitchen island, doing what I do most mornings, microwaving leftover Thai food while talking to nobody in particular. Lisa's at work already. I've got the house to myself, which used to be a luxury and now just feels like open range for anxiety to run laps. I mumble something like, "Alexa, play the news," but I'm chewing, and the chili paste making my eyes water, so it probably came out more like, "Alexa, lose snooze." Now here's where things get weird. Instead of NPR, I hear this faint click, like a file opening. Then, through our ceiling-mounted kitchen echo, this hushed whisper. "So just don't say anything if he asks, okay?" He never checks anything. Then silence. Muffled breathing. Then Lisa again. "You have to promise me. We can't screw this up." I drop my fork. Literally. It clinks off the bowl and hits the tile. And I just sit there, blinking at nothing, listening to the echo of her voice that isn't supposed to exist. This is not a conversation I've ever heard before. It's not part of the news, or an audiobook, or anything logical. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it pulled up a movie clip or an old phone call. Nope. I'm a voice recognition engineer. I help companies train models like Alexa to interpret half-coherent commands from humans who mumble with mouths full of popcorn. This isn't some off-the-shelf smart speaker that tells you the weather. This system is custom-coded by me. There are exactly 3 users recognized on this network. Me, Lisa, and the house guest profile we used once when my mother visited, then promptly forgot existed. And I know Lisa's voice. Every breath of it. This wasn't a command. This was a recording. From when? Why? I pick up my phone. No notifications from Alexa. No alerts. But the play last recording command does exist for developers. It's just not supposed to trigger unless you specifically enable it in dev mode. Which I haven't. Because why would I? Unless. I stand up, walk to the living room speaker hub, and say it again, this time clearly. "Alexa, play last night's conversation." This time, there's a mechanical chime. Then a pause. Then, Lisa's voice, faintly, "You said you deleted it." Unknown male voice, low, relax. He's not going to find out. He's too busy playing with his code to notice what's happening in his own house. I stand there, arms limp at my sides. My chest goes cold. The clip ends abruptly. Just static now. Silence. I've never felt so many conflicting thoughts trying to sprint through my brain at once. One part of me wants to rip every speaker out of the wall. Another wants to call Lisa right now, ask her what the hell that was. And a third, the loudest, smartest part, tells me to shut up, sit down, and figure this out logically. Emotion gets you nowhere. Logic gets you receipts. So I go to my office, really just a second bedroom with a $3,000 setup that makes me look like I work for the NSA. I log into the back end of our home smart system, which I coded myself. It's all there. Voice logs, timestamps, device activations. Lisa used the kitchen speaker at 11:43 p.m. last night. I was asleep by then, knocked out cold from NyQuil and sinus pressure. But she wasn't. She was talking to someone. Now, for the average user, Alexa logs commands but not conversations. But I built a dev sandbox into this system, a kind of rolling buffer that keeps audio samples for training voice IDs. For 24 hours. Which means, unless she manually wiped it, and she wouldn't know how that conversation is still cached. I pull up the debug console. There it is, 11:43 p.m., unknown secondary voice ID, not matching mine or hers. Device activity spike. Living room light dimmed to 20%, kitchen light at 30%, hallway camera temporarily disabled. That's not an accident. That's someone trying not to be seen. I isolate the audio file and scrub through it. It's grainy, but usable. She whispers again, something about timing and making sure it doesn't overlap. He laughs. It's a low, smug sound that instantly makes me want to break a chair over a wall. But I don't. I keep listening. Does he suspect anything? Pause. No, she says. He trusts me too much. And that's when something in me clicks, not emotionally. Mechanically. Like a lever inside my chest shifting from hurt to active. I don't even remember finishing the Thai food. I just sit there, staring at the waveform on the screen, knowing exactly what I'm going to do. Because Lisa's not just cheating on me. She's doing it in my house. And she thinks I'm too stupid to notice. But here's the thing about building a smart home from scratch. You know every blind spot. Every exploit. Every way to make it smarter and deadlier. So now, I do what I do best. I start writing code. One line at a time. I didn't sleep that night. I mean, technically, I lay in bed for 7 hours pretending to breathe like a normal human while my mind rewired itself. I'd hear Lisa shifting beside me, the rustle of her hair against the pillow, her soft sleep murmurs, and all I could picture was that smug laugh. That stranger's voice echoing through my own kitchen. Through my wife. It wasn't just betrayal. It was trespass. Like someone broke into my code, rewrote the variables, and changed the narrative while I was busy updating firmware. I got up at 4:38 a.m. Coffee, no cream. I skipped the usual podcast and sat down at my desk, opened the house's master control panel, and stared at the voice logs like they were evidence in a murder trial. Because in a way, they were. 11:43 p.m. Male voice ID. Unknown. Not me. Not Lisa. Not a guest profile. Frequency analysis placed him at about 6 feet 1 inch, mid-30s, slightly nasal with a Pacific Northwest accent, and just a hint of smug tech bro edge, like the guy at a bar who brags about having a Series A investor. I'm not profiling. I'm narrowing down targets. But that was just the beginning. I ran a deeper scan of the past 2 weeks. Found 3 more nighttime spikes all around the same time, all matching the same unknown voice print. He wasn't just a one-night slip. This guy was practically a recurring user on my network. And now I had a plan. The first step? I needed a copy of his voice. A clean sample. Something long enough and crisp enough to feed into my own model, not Alexa, not Amazon. My system. Something I built in grad school that was never supposed to be used for anything more than academic papers and annoying roommates. I went back to the audio buffer. Replayed each segment. Found one where Lisa wasn't speaking, just him. Bragging. About how paranoid engineers never see the emotional stuff coming. That line stuck with me. So I clipped it. Cleaned it. Boosted the gain. Ran it through my recognition model and created a new profile. User. Ghost. Then I did something. A little less ethical. I told my system to mimic him. Not just recognize. Respond. I programmed a voice clone, AI-generated, trained on his cadence, tone, pitch. Think deepfake audio, but bespoke. This voice could ask my smart locks to open, dim the lights, play specific music, or shut off the cameras. It could literally replace me if I wanted it to. Why? Because this house listens. It responds. But only to voices it knows. And now, it knew his. Step 2. I restricted all basic functions to Ghost voice. Locks? Ghost only. Lights? Ghost. Thermostat? Fridge? Washing machine? Hell, even the coffee maker? Ghost. Lisa would come home tonight and slowly realize she was no longer the homeowner. The house had a new alpha. And she wasn't it. But I couldn't make it too obvious. No, the key to a good revenge arc is pacing. Psychological tension. The slow unraveling. So I waited. That evening, Lisa came home at 6:22 p.m., like always. Her heels clicked against the hardwood in perfect rhythm. The kind of rhythm you can only develop when you feel confident that your world is stable. Secure. I watched from the hallway as she dropped her bag on the couch and tried to turn on the living room lights with a voice command. Alexa, lights to 50%. Nothing. Alexa, lights to 50%, she repeated, a little louder this time, with that edge in her voice she usually reserved for customer service reps. Still nothing. I held my breath behind the hallway wall. She flipped the light switch manually. That worked, barely. I'd reduced brightness thresholds to 20% default. Just enough to keep her guessing. She moved to the kitchen. Alexa, play chill jazz playlist. Nothing. Play jazz. Alexa. She tapped the echo twice like it was misbehaving. That's when I stepped in. Try asking nicer, I said, walking into the room with my most disarming smile. She jumped a little, forced a laugh. Geez, you scared me. I kissed her cheek. She flinched, barely, and smiled too wide. That was new. Tech's been acting up, I said. Might be time to reset the whole house. She waved it off. Or maybe Alexa's just tired of our voices. Oh, honey, you have no idea. That night, she went to bed early. I waited until her breathing evened out, then crept into the living room, activated ghost mode from my phone, and whispered one simple command. Alexa, lock all doors. Click. Then I whispered another. Thermostat, 45 degrees. The heat clicked off. The fans kicked in. By 2 a.m., she was curled into a fetal position under 3 blankets, shivering. She got up to check the system. Alexa, increase temperature to 70. Nothing. She fumbled with the app on her phone. Access denied. She tried her voice again. No dice. That's when I sent the first real message. I had Alexa play a track on repeat, one I'd built custom. A loop of ghosts laugh, over and over, faint enough that she couldn't locate the source, just enough to feel watched. She wandered the house for 20 minutes trying to stop it, never found the speaker, never turned it off. At 3:11 a.m., she texted me from the bedroom. "Can you fix this? Something's wrong." I didn't reply. I just waited, eyes on the console, watching the house respond only to Ghost's voice, mine in disguise. She paced the hallway. She cried once. Or maybe that was a frustrated groan. Hard to tell from the camera mic. At 4:47 a.m., she gave up and crawled back into bed. Victory? Not yet. This was only night one. By the end of the week, she'd be begging for the house to hear her again. And it wouldn't. Because once you cheat on a voice engineer inside a smart home, you're just another background noise the system learns to ignore. By Wednesday, Lisa stopped talking to the house entirely. That's how it begins, you know. With hesitation. You press a button twice instead of once. You speak slower. You doubt yourself. You wonder if the issue is on your end, your phrasing, your tone, your value. That's the beauty of a smart home revenge plan. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It makes you question whether you were ever in control to begin with. And Lisa was losing control. On Monday, she tried using the fridge. The touchscreen wouldn't respond. The internal lights flickered on and off every 3 seconds, a bug I'd written intentionally to mimic a power surge. "Alexa, reset refrigerator," she muttered, tired. Nothing. I watched from the hallway as she tapped the screen again and again like a confused animal pressing a shock panel. Then came Tuesday. Lisa's favorite yoga playlist was gone, deleted from her profile. When she asked the Echo to play it, Alexa responded, in Ghost's voice, "You don't have permission to access that content." She stared at the speaker like it had grown fangs. Wednesday morning, she tried to make coffee. That's when I introduced Phase 2. Her favorite setting, almond milk, double shot, cinnamon dust, had been renamed Cheat Code. The display flashed it as she pressed brew, and she just stood there, staring at the glowing letters like they were accusing her. Because they were. The machine hissed. Then stopped. A new message scrolled across the screen. "Try again, Lisa." I had no way of seeing her face. I wasn't in the kitchen, but I could feel the tension from 2 rooms away. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to echo back at you when the room is quiet. She unplugged the machine and left the house 20 minutes later without saying goodbye. I made a note of the time. 8:37 a.m. She was officially scared. By Thursday, she stopped using any voice commands at all. She'd resorted to manual switches, apps, old-school remotes. I watched her walk around the house like someone in a haunted mansion, flinching at every beep, waiting for a shadow that never came. And I gave her nothing. Silence. Stillness. The system only responded to Ghost's voice now, a perfect, crisp facsimile of the man she invited into my house. The house that I wired, coded, and optimized. The house that used to listen to her. Used to obey. Now it played favorites. Every day, I slipped in one new feature. That night, while she was in the shower, I activated Ambient Echo, a subtle feature that repeated fragments of old recordings at low volume through random speakers. Nothing obvious. Just snippets. He never checks. Just delete it. He trusts me too much. Lisa thought she was losing her mind. I know this because I watched her pace through each room with a flashlight, whispering to herself, holding her phone up like it was a holy relic that might save her. But every time she called out, the house ignored her. Only once did she try to call me. I let it ring 5 times before declining. Later, she sent a text. "Something's seriously wrong with the system. I think someone hacked it. I'm scared." I almost replied. Almost. But where's the fun in that? By Friday morning, she unplugged half the Echo speakers. Didn't matter. I still had control through the hardwired mesh system. She couldn't even reset the router without a password, and I'd swapped hers with a string of Cyrillic characters and an emoji. She tried logging into the master app. Access denied. She tried deleting the smart home entirely from her account. Authorization required. Ghost. At that point, it wasn't even about revenge anymore. It was about poetry. Symmetry. She let another voice into our life, and now hers was irrelevant. Friday evening was the tipping point. She came home late, hair frizzed from rain, mascara smudged, carrying a grocery bag with overpriced candles and a bottle of wine she was never going to drink. I watched her from the top of the stairs as she stood at the front door, waiting for it to unlock automatically. It didn't. She tried again. Still locked. Then, over the speaker by the entryway, came Ghost's voice. Who's there? She froze. Who's there? It repeated. She turned slowly, backing away from the door. Looked up at the camera. Then she whispered, please. The house stayed silent. She fumbled with her phone, trying to override the lock manually. No dice. She looked back at the door again, her fingers trembling. I'm sorry, she whispered. And then? The door clicked open. Not because I wanted to let her in, but because the story needed a third act. She walked inside like she was stepping onto a minefield. Alexa, she said, cautious, almost reverent. Turn on the lights. The house stayed quiet. So she tried something else. Ghost, she whispered. Turn on the lights. And like magic, they flickered to life. She flinched so hard she dropped her bag. Apples rolled across the floor. The wine bottle cracked, leaking red onto the tile. She didn't even notice. Because she knew, in that moment, she was no longer alone in the house. And Ghost? Ghost had the keys now. But here's the best part. She still didn't know I was Ghost. She didn't know I'd recorded every session, every error message, every whisper of her betrayal. And by Monday, I'd be playing those recordings for someone else. Someone with a lot more reach than me. Because Lisa didn't just cheat on her husband. She compromised a system built by a man who specializes in listening. And when you betray someone like that, you don't get a reset. You get overwritten. By Saturday night, the house didn't just stop responding to Lisa, it started mocking her. Not directly. That would have been crude. No, this was subtler. Meaner. Smart. It began with the locks. She tried to leave for brunch with her friend Michelle, the one with the laugh like a dying hyena, and the front door wouldn't budge. Alexa, unlock the front door, she said, trying to sound calm. Silence. Ghost, she said, eyes darting to the ceiling cam. Unlock the door. Click. The deadbolt snapped open like an obedient dog. She froze. Then looked around, slow, deliberate, as if something might step out from the drywall and explain it all. It didn't. Because ghosts don't make house calls. They live in your house. She took 2 steps outside and immediately turned back. Stood in the threshold, staring like the entryway was a mouth waiting to swallow her. Lock the door, she whispered. Nothing. Ghost, lock the door. Click. And she just stood there, holding the knob, breathing like a hunted thing. That's when she stopped going out. By Sunday morning, she'd canceled her hair appointment, her Pilates class, and get this, her standing Sunday call with her mother. Which, let me tell you, is usually more sacred than the Vatican. I know this because I saw her ignore the incoming call 3 times. I watched her sit on the couch, wine glass in one hand, staring blankly at a blank TV that wouldn't turn on. She didn't even try the remote. Just sat there, waiting, hoping. Like maybe the house would feel bad and offer her a distraction. It didn't. At 6:03 p.m., the TV flickered on, unprompted. Static. Then a frozen frame. A security cam angle from the kitchen, timestamped 11:43 p.m. Lisa. Laughing. Ghost's voice, muffled but audible. He's never going to know. Her smile widened. She touched his face. A shadow, mostly the back of his head and frame. She kissed him. Then the screen went black. Lisa dropped the wine glass. Didn't scream. Didn't say a word. Just got up, walked upstairs, and locked herself in the guest room. Smart move. Unfortunately, that room hadn't been excluded from the mesh speaker array. At 2:17 a.m., a voice woke her up. Soft. Familiar. Ghost. I miss you already. She sat up, gasping. Nothing else followed. That was the only clip. That's the thing with auditory cues. They don't need to be constant. They just need to be timed. By Monday morning, she looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Her hair was tangled. Her eyes were sunken. She'd stopped wearing makeup entirely, which, for Lisa, was the equivalent of surrendering her citizenship. I sat in the kitchen, sipping coffee, scrolling my phone like nothing was wrong. She crept in like a tenant who forgot to pay rent. Hey, she said, voice small. Hey, I replied, without looking up. You, notice anything off with the house lately? Off. I blinked like an idiot. Nope. Why? She hesitated. The smart stuff. Lights, locks, music. It's all weird. I nodded. Maybe your voice ID glitched. She looked at me, eyes narrowing. You think it's that? Could be. These systems are fickle. Try using the other profile. I saw her consider it. We both knew what that meant. Ghost. She didn't say it out loud. Just nodded and backed out of the room, like I was radioactive. Later that day, I left the house for the first time in 3 days. Said I had errands. Left her alone for 4 hours. When I came back, I found her in the garage, sitting in her car. Engine off. Windows up. Just sitting there. I knocked on the window. She jumped. Car wouldn't start, she mumbled. I opened the hood. Everything looked fine. That's because it was. I disabled her key fob from the system via a Bluetooth filter. Re-enabled it 2 minutes later without telling her. She tried again. Car purred like a kitten. She didn't thank me. Just drove off like someone fleeing a crime scene. When she came back an hour later, she didn't even try the garage. Parked on the street. Slammed the car door. Walked inside with that frantic energy you see in people who just lost their last life in a video game. That night, she snapped. I was in bed, reading. She barged into the room, barefoot, breathless, furious. What the hell is going on? I looked up. With the house, Jason. The goddamn house. I blinked. It's fine for me. It's not fine for me, she said, hands shaking. It's ignoring me. It's freezing. My playlists are gone. My settings are gone. The lights won't listen. The fridge won't open. And now it's playing his voice. His FL. She cut herself off. I closed my book. You're hearing things? I asked. She opened her mouth, then shut it. Something in my tone caught her. Something colder than usual. You changed it, she said, quieter now. Didn't you? Change what? The system. You're doing this. I tilted my head. Doing what? She stared at me like she was waiting for the confession. It didn't come. Instead, I rolled over and said, maybe get some sleep. You sound tired. She didn't move. Just stood there. Still. Quiet. Then turned and walked out. The next morning, I found the Master Echo speaker on the counter, unplugged. Beside it, a note. I'm leaving. Don't follow me. I smiled. She thought she was escaping the house. But the house was just a warm-up, because I'd already traced her hotel reservation. Room 413, downtown. The front desk clerk? Let's just say, he's got a little unfinished business with Lisa. And I've got a flash drive that might interest him. I always liked hotels. Not the luxury ones, those are too polished, too impersonal. No, I'm talking about the mid-range places. The ones with stale continental breakfast, beige carpets that try their best, and staff who've seen too much and still ask, how was your stay? Like they care. Lisa checked into one of those. Room 413, Eastside Suites. 3 stars on Yelp. For if you're too polite to mention the mildew smell. She booked it online at 2:34 a.m., right after our little hallway showdown. She must have packed a bag in silence, tiptoed past our bedroom, and fled the moment the sun showed a hint of mercy. She left the Master Echo, a crumpled note, and her dignity on the kitchen counter. But she made one mistake. She booked it with the same email she used for our shared Amazon account. So guess who got the confirmation email? Not that I needed it. By that point, I'd been monitoring her every move through my custom-built backdoor into the smart home system. You don't live with a data engineer for 6 years and expect to keep secrets, unless you're the kind of idiot who whispers, delete the messages, within range of a hot mic. Lisa was in for a rude awakening. Or a familiar one. Because when she checked into room 413, the guy behind the counter wasn't just a bored night clerk with a lanyard and mild insomnia. He was someone she used to know. His name was Kevin. 5 years ago, Kevin worked at a tech startup where Lisa did some contract marketing. He was a junior dev, scrappy, too eager. Lisa dated him for exactly 3 weeks, then ghosted him with a text that read, "You're sweet, but not my pace. Don't take it personally." He did. And he remembered. I know this because Kevin and I had coffee the day before she checked in. Well, I had coffee. Kevin had a triple espresso and revenge in his eyes. We didn't used to know each other. I found him on LinkedIn 2 weeks into the Ghost protocol after I heard his name in one of Lisa's old group chats. A little digging, a few social engineering tricks, and boom, we're bonding over tech, betrayal, and the poetic justice of it all. Kevin was all in. So when Lisa walked into the lobby, wearing oversized sunglasses and that look she gets when she's trying to look important while silently falling apart, Kevin didn't flinch. "Reservation for Lisa?" he asked, all customer service grin. She nodded, too drained to notice the flicker of recognition in his eyes. He handed her the keycard, leaned in slightly, and said, "If you need anything, just ask. We take care of our guests here." She didn't even blink. But her name was already flagged in the system. Room 413 was under surveillance. By 10:07 p.m., she was pacing. Kevin texted me updates in real time. "Kevin, she's twitchy." Pulled the curtains 3 times. Whispered to her phone. Room light flickering. 10 out of 10 paranoia. Me. Good. Let it simmer. Drop the envelope at 10:30. Kevin. On it. The envelope was nothing fancy. Manila. Unmarked. Just her name scrawled in a hand she wouldn't recognize. Inside, 2 USB drives, a printout of a Google Maps timeline showing her movements for the past 3 weeks, and a note that said, "You were heard." Kevin slid it under the door at 10:31 p.m. By 10:34, the light in room 413 shut off. At 10:42, she tried calling me. I declined. At 10:49, she opened the envelope. I know because the second USB drive had a motion sensor hidden in the casing. Triggered on open. It pinged my server. She was holding the evidence now. Listening. Watching. Every breath, every whisper she thought was private, now compressed into neatly labeled audio files. A highlight reel of her betrayal. I named the folder Guest Access. She didn't try to call again. Instead, at 11:17, she stormed down to the front desk. Kevin was there, playing Minesweeper on the lobby terminal. "What the hell is this?" she hissed, holding the envelope like it was radioactive. Kevin leaned back in his chair. Calm. Collected. "Everything okay with the room?" he asked. She slapped the envelope down on the desk. "Did you put this there?" Kevin raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, if you received unauthorized materials, I suggest contacting the authorities." Lisa's jaw clenched. "Don't play dumb." Kevin shrugged. "I'm not. But I do remember you now." She froze. "You worked with Ecliptic Media," he said, as if it just hit him. "You called me too sweet and said I wasn't your pace." She blinked. Kevin leaned in, voice low. "Looks like I wasn't the only one you ghosted." That's when her face broke. Not into a sob, that would have been too cathartic. No, Lisa doesn't cry in front of witnesses. Her breakdowns are silent, internal implosions. But I saw it in her posture. The stiff shoulders. The way her hands trembled as she snatched the envelope back. She walked out. Didn't even stay the night. Kevin watched her go, then texted me. "Kevin, that was satisfying." Me. "You did great. She'll spin for days now." Kevin. "You ever gonna talk to her?" Me. "Nope." Kevin. "Cold." Me. "No colder than her." That night, I uploaded the Ghost Protocol package to a private repo complete with documentation, audio samples, and logs. Then I sent an anonymous tip to a few tech journalists I know. Subject line: "How safe is your smart home?" Really? Attachments: Lisa's voice, ghost clone, and a brief history of a woman who taught an AI to forget her. By morning, it would be news. By afternoon, it would be viral. And Lisa? She'd be a ghost in her own story. Unheard. Unwelcome. Unplugged. By the time the story hit the tech blogs, Lisa had already stopped answering calls. Not that many people were calling anymore. The article dropped Monday morning like a sledgehammer through a pane of glass. I didn't write it, not directly. I just packaged the evidence, tagged a few ethical concerns, and sent it off to 3 freelance journalists who'd kill for a scoop involving AI, privacy, and betrayal. The headline? "When your smart home turns against you, a case study in revenge, surveillance, and voice deepfakes." It went viral within hours. Screenshots of transcripts. Audio snippets labeled Lisa Kitchen _11:43 p.m.wave. Analysis from engineers breaking down how the ghost profile worked, how it was built, how it manipulated a smart home to listen selectively, how it could be replicated. There was no Lisa's full name, no photos, but the voice? Undeniable. And for those who knew her? Unmistakable. She didn't leave the hotel that week. Kevin told me she checked back in on Tuesday, not room 413 this time. Room 206. A room with no smart features. Analog lock. Manual lights. A coffee maker that didn't ask questions. She paid in cash. She didn't call me again. Didn't text. Didn't come back to the house. Which was fine, because the house didn't want her. I gave it new rules. No Lisa profile. No ghost. Just me. Only me. One voice. And it was peaceful, silent in that way you don't appreciate until it's earned. No lies leaking through vents. No whispered coordination at 11 p.m. No betrayal hiding in data packets. Just silence, humming fans, and the soft glow of responsive light when I walked into a room. But here's the thing about revenge. Even when it's perfect, it never feels like justice. It just feels quiet. I spent the next week tying up loose ends. Deleted the ghost voice model. Backed up the system logs to cold storage, encrypted and segmented. Turned off the ambient whisper feature, too eerie now, like listening to a horror movie you wrote yourself. I even re-enabled Lisa's original profile, just for the hell of it. "Welcome back, Lisa," Alexis said. But Lisa wasn't there to hear it. She wouldn't be. That night, I sat in the living room with a drink and watched the viral video someone had made, a dramatic retelling of the article using text-to-speech, eerie music, and dramatized reenactments. They got everything wrong, of course. Too theatrical. Too much Hollywood in the way the husband confronts the wife at the end, like some soap opera morality tale. In real life, there was no confrontation, no closure, just a woman screaming at a fridge while the man she betrayed made the entire world hear her mistake. But it wasn't until Thursday that the real twist landed. I got an email. Not from Lisa. From Kevin. Subject: "You're going to want to see this." There was no message body, just an attachment, a video file. I opened it. The footage was shaky, taken on a phone, covertly. It showed Lisa, in the hotel lobby, talking to someone. A man. Not Kevin. Not Ghost. Someone else. She looked desperate. Animated. Pacing like she was trying to make someone understand something unexplainable. He looked confused. Then, horrified. Then he walked out on her. She stood there, in the middle of the lobby, alone. Mouth open. Hands trembling. A woman so used to commanding attention, now ignored even by the air around her. Kevin panned the camera slightly, capturing her face as she realized he was filming. She didn't shout. She didn't beg. She just looked at him and walked away. I watched the clip twice. Then I scrolled down. Kevin had added a second file. It was audio, compressed, clipped. A voicemail. Lisa's voice, breaking, whispering. "I don't know if you'll ever listen to this, but I need you to know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this. I was stupid. I was lonely. And I thought maybe he made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. But he's gone. They're all gone. And now the house doesn't hear me anymore. It's like I don't exist. Please talk to me." She hung up without saying goodbye. I didn't save the message. I didn't respond. Instead, I muted her profile permanently. Not just from the house. From me. Because you can code silence. You can train it to ignore the sounds that once felt sacred. And when you're done, you don't forgive. You just move on. Last week, I hosted a dinner. Friends, coworkers, old classmates, the people who'd always asked, "So how's Lisa?" with either envy or polite curiosity. They don't ask anymore. Instead, they marvel at the house. How the lights know when to dim. How the music always matches the mood. How the doors open with a whisper. How does it know? They ask. And I just smile. It listens, I say. Because it does. It always did. But now? Now it listens only to me. Because when you build something from scratch, when you pour code and wires and heart into every circuit, you don't let someone else corrupt it. You protect it. You secure it. And if someone tries to overwrite you, you reprogram the world so they never existed. You delete their voice. You silence the lie. And you make sure the only echo left is yours. Subscribe to the channel